Welcome back to ciLiving. You want to be able to enjoy your retirement and not have to spend it worrying about your finances. Rooted Wealth Advisors is sponsoring today's segment, and joining me with the tools that you need to succeed is John Savarino. Thank you so much for being here.
Hey, it's a pleasure to be back.
All right, so I know a lot of things are changing, and come tax time, things always get complicated. So what do people need to know about changing tax laws?
Yeah, so today really want to talk about new tax law. So taxes have actually changed as of July of this year, 2025. And, you know, there's a lot of changes that can impact a lot of our viewers positively, and there's one or two that can impact them negatively. And so, you know, we at Rooted Wealth Advisors, we want to be as far ahead of the game as we possibly can be, especially when it comes to taxes.
And I feel like that's super important, because the more you know, the better you're able to navigate and put your money where it should be. So let's talk first about tax brackets.
Yeah, good. So maybe some of our viewers, all of our clients, we were anticipating taxes to actually go up in 2026, because previous tax code, not to get too far into the weeds, but ultimately had a sunset provision, which is jargon for the expiration date being December 31st, 2025. And that was going to negatively impact a lot of especially retirees, in the States. But with tax law passed in July, those are no longer going back up. Currently, it's quote unquote permanent, still subject to change in the future, but I would just say at least through 2028, 2029, we can expect our tax brackets to stay the same.
And then what about deductions? Because I know that's always a big thing that people look at, is what can I write off, what can't I write off? So what do we need to know about deduction changes?
So one of the good things for just your traditional taxpayer, for a single taxpayer, we actually get an additional $750 standard deduction, so in addition to what our current one is. And for a married couple, it's $1,500. I think what's most impactful is going to be for those that are 65 or older. They get what they're calling a super senior deduction. It's actually $6,000 per individual. And so for someone that might be in a 22% tax bracket, we're talking well over $1,000 in tax savings, which I think is really impactful. But what I've found is it's being kind of falsely, or it's a little misleading for a lot of retirees, because a lot of retirees think they're not going to pay any taxes on their Social Security. And for some, that might be true because of the deduction. But if you're over a certain income threshold, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but you're still going to pay taxes on some of your Social Security.
And so with that, how do people know what category do they fall under, or is that something that they need to call Rooted Wealth to get help with that?
The latter of what you said. We can help kind of walk folks through their tax situation alongside, some of our CPA team, the tax attorneys that we work with. We have a pretty robust team when it comes to taxes. But I would say for those of them watching that want to look it up themselves, look up provisional income.
Provisional income. All right, that's what you need to look for. And then I've heard an acronym SALT a lot, but I don't know what it means, what it stands for. I just keep hearing it. What is that?
Yeah, so SALT. Everyone's like, what does this mean?
What is SALT?
So it is an acronym. It stands for state and local taxes. And previously, for those that itemized, on their tax return, they were able to write off up to $10,000 of state and local taxes. So, property taxes, state income taxes, local taxes, etc. What's really important is for those folks that were doing it, you can now, going through 2028, write up to $40,000, which is a massive amount. Now there is a phase out for those that are making substantial income, but very big for those that aren't aware of the new exemption amount of SALT.
That's really important to know as well. And then how is this all the change and stuff impacting Medicare?
Yeah, so that's a really good point, because it can't all be positive, right? And so I think what's super important for anyone, especially a recent enrollee of Medicaid, previously you would have a 3-month, what they call retroactive period. So any expenses, qualifying expenses within that 3-month period before your Medicaid enrollment date would have been covered. It's actually been changed to 2 months. And so for anyone that's not aware of that, like that could be it could be horrible, right, for them if they're not aware of that. So just understand that period has actually been reduced from 3 months to 2 months, and that's going to negatively impact some folks.
All right, so just kind of keep an eye on dates of service and things like that.
100%.
And then Rooted Wealth has something new coming out, Yes to Tax-Free website. What is that?
Yeah, so for those of you watching, that are concerned about taxes, maybe feel that you're not getting the robust help that you think that you probably do deserve, go to our new website. It's yes-to-taxfree.com. We've actually built out a proprietary service. It's called the Retirement Tax Reduction System. And from an extremely high level, ultimately it's just a process that we're able to walk folks through and really see if there's some unique, not so much out-of-the-box tax strategies, but just strategies that their potential advisor or professional that they're working with is probably not even thinking about. And I can say this, I mean, it's helping folks save thousands of dollars in taxes by going through that process. So once again, yes-to-taxfree.com.
Yes-to-taxfree.com. Okay, great. Because I feel like you're correct to your point that ultimately there's not, even if you're a tax professional, you might not know every single loophole, or you might not be thinking about everything for every person because it's kind of like a formula. So that's really great that Rooted Wealth can help in that way.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know everything, right? And I'm not too proud to admit that, but that's why I always mention, like, hey, we have that robust team around us.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for being here and for sharing all of that information and sponsoring our segment today.
Absolutely.